Previously, we covered the game mechanics as well as the classes you have, and now the time is to know how to deal with the specific aliens. In the base game, you did not really need to know it, with the exception of a few. But here, because of the complexity and AI changes, you better know how to handle each enemy, or else you might just have half your team come back in a body bag. That is if you're lucky. Unlike the base game, the missions are much longer, so you must be able to keep up. There are some cases where the landed ship is a trap, but even those can be dealt with, if you know how. In this video we'll be talking about the first batch of aliens that you'll be seeing early in the campaign. As the alien tech level grows, so will their ability, but the general behavior will stay the same. I've seen adapting to my tactics has been the aliens I consider as adaptive, which I talk about in their respective section. Well, the first alien we got is the Sectoid. Sectoid is the most basic, most iconic gray alien. They got low damage, medium aggression, and occasional psionic abilities. But at the start you don't have much health, so that can still hurt. They tend to have a front line buffed by the mind-linking backline. The way you deal with these is get close enough to see the mind-linking alien and let your snipers or scouts deal with them. Otherwise, there's nothing special about these guys. Next, we got the Thinmen. These bastards are tricky. You will see these often in special missions and covert missions, and their signature ability is the acid spit. This corrosive gas is a much bigger problem in this mod. It does not require aiming on their part, so my suggestion is to be aggressive against Thinmen and not to bunch up. Important note, however, about the Thinmen leader. Kill this bastard first. This bastard has very high range and is responsible for a significant portion of team wipes. In groups, they tend to overwatch and have a lot of abilities that allow them to be quasi-snipers. As such, if you see these guys, either break line of sight, or rush, or suppress. Otherwise, prepare for a bad time. These guys are cowardly, and will prefer to flank and take pot shots if they cannot poison. Their leaders can be aggressive since he has Shadow Step perk, making him immune to overwatch shots but not suppression. Drone. They tend to be deployed with mechanical units because these guys can repair a mechanical unit for free action. They have very little defense and not much damage, however they can mark your units. As such, these guys can be deceptive. Ignore them if you can take down the big mechanical unit in one turn. If not, you will have to shoot these guys one by one, and they tend to come in large numbers. Floater. These Langolier-looking flying chihuahuas are probably the reason why we need this damn guide. These guys used to be aggressive, but now they are suicidal and half-time unpredictable. If they even think they can get away with, they will fly close and shoot at point-blank range. They get defense and cover bonuses in mid-air, and also elevation bonuses for aim. So, the way you beat these guys is not showing flank. Oh, you thought that was easy? Well, they have an ability to fly behind your team using their special nonsense. So be careful and hunt the one that flies behind you. They usually do it one or two at a time, so if you do not see where they're using this ability, get your soldiers in solid cover and fall into defensive. While they do have some defensive abilities and have higher aim, you can fight them defensively. You can separate these guys from any activated pods, so that way you can deal with floaters. Outsider. These tend to appear in UFO assault or crash missions, and are important to capture because you will need a lot of these later to make skeleton keys to assault bases. These bastards can be dangerous. They heal a few points of HP every turn and tend to behave defensively. They also come in with an automatic fire ability if somebody moves vicinity. This does not apply to assault, which is why you give the stun gun to the assault. Now their leader, however, does not follow this behavior. He has a ton of abilities, but most importantly has critical system targeting. The way you deal with these guys is usually by running back to separate them from any other pods you may be dealing with, and pick them off one by one. These guys are an okay target to use gas grenade because of their defense and regeneration. Normal outsiders behave defensively while their leader tends to be adaptive to take advantage of their huge health pool and perks. Chrysalid. If you thought these guys were bad in the base game, they're just as bad, and now they got a leader. When you see these things, you drop everything that you're doing and get rid of these guys. They're hyper aggressive, have corrosive attacks, tons of damage, will 1 or 2 shot non-tank characters, and they're now mobile enough that the best you can hope for is delay them by 1 turn. As I said, they're hyper aggressive and can only attack in melee. As such, they tend to get clustered. So early in the game you can use javelin rockets and explosives, and later LAW suppressive fire to take care of them. Just make sure you got their health low enough that the passive damage from suppressive fire can finish them off. These always show up in terror missions, and in first few alien base missions. I've rarely seen them out of that, so that's pretty much the only good news. Zombies. These tend to come with the pods that have chrysalids. A big dumb target. Can do a bit of damage and is faster than the old zombies, but it still has a very low defense, does not take cover, so these guys are pretty much bullet sponges. Kill these last, and in this mod zombies no longer gestate more chrysalids, so thank God for that. Muton, the default mid-game enemy. These guys are adaptive in their tactics and highly durable in combat. They have a blood call ability which boosts all their stats by a little bit. Best stealth is either by flanking, snipers, defensive positioning, and just having positive trades each turn against them. Seekers. So these things will either be a free kill or completely decimate your squad. Always save 1 scanner for these things, because if you don't, the strangle ability will not only disable a soldier, but will also do a ton of damage. Not much else is important about these things, and they are stupidly aggressive. Lastly, we've got Cyberdisk. This Disco Ball of Doom will start making an appearance midway through the Alien campaign, and is usually accompanied by Seekers or drones. Important thing to remember is when they're open, they take more damage, so make sure your first hit against these guys is your most damaging. Afterwards, keep it suppressed and try to kill it on the same turn to prevent it being repaired by drones. This is your first practice with top priority damage dealing aliens, arguably chrysalids as well. Basically, when you see these, you focus them down because the next turn they take, they will decimate your squad. They also explode when they're killed, doing some damage to nearby drones for good measure. So these are the aliens for the early part of the campaign. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.